Hi, using the calendar app within your phone is one of its most useful uses. You want to know how to use it properly? Then come right in your pocket. Hi, I'm Danny and this is In Your Pocket, a channel dedicated to helping people cut through some of the jargon and make the technology you already have in your pocket work much better. Hi, so today we're looking at the calendar app. There is a lot to get through in calendar. I think it's one of the most important apps on a phone. It's certainly the one that I probably use the most. And because there's so much, this is going to be a two-parter. So this is part 1 of 2. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next episode. So let's get right on with it. So first of all, there are various different functions that you can set in the calendar that are behind the scenes that we can just make sure the calendar is working how we want. So first of all, we're going to go into settings and we're going to go down to apps, and then we're going to go to calendar, and let's have a look at what we can change in the back end. Okay, so I'm not going to go through each and every one of these. I'm going to go through some of the ones that I think are the most interesting. So the first one, week numbers. When you look at a calendar view, you can either have the numbers switched on or off. That's useful for people who are maybe booking time at work and things like that to know which week number that is. So you can literally just toggle that on and off on the screen there. You can also the week starts on the day, so the day that you're always looking at is on the left hand side. I don't particularly like that one. I prefer slightly differently to that. Let's have a look at the default alert time. So when we're setting up an event, by default you can click on that so that it will always default to setting an alert for the time that you need to leave, and we'll go through in another episode there, but you can tell the maps in the phone what your normal mode of transport is. So if you set that to car, it will calculate the time to leave to an event. I have to say, on all of these you can change these within the event that you create in yourself. These are just the defaults, what is automatically going to default to. Duration for an individual event, so there you go. When we set up a new event there, it's always going to default it to an hour, but again you can change that when you set the event up itself. The next one is what day we start the week on. Some people like to start the day on Sunday, I've noticed, but I always like to start my day on the Monday. So the week that your calendar starts on, the left hand side, is always going to be a Monday, but again you can choose there. And then for people that have got multiple calendars, you may have a work calendar, you may have a personal calendar, you may have a shared calendar, and we'll have a look at those in a minute. You can set up what your default calendar is, and you can see in there currently that's my own personal one, but if I want that to be my joint account with me and Sarah, then I can click on that, and that just means that when you create an event, that's a calendar that it will default to. And as I say, when we're setting an event up, you can change that. Okay, so how we interact with the calendar, what views we like, is really important. And I have to say, I don't think it's that intuitive on iPhone. So let's just have a quick look at that. So let's open the calendar app. Let's click on that there. And my favourite is the list view. And you'll see in the list view you get a view of a month. And then at the bottom, you get a list of the events on that particular day. So if I click on that day, you can see there that there were a few things in my calendar for that day, and they're listed at the bottom. And as you click through every day, you can see exactly what those are. If you want to go to the actual today, you can click on that there, and you'll see that I have nothing on for today, or certainly nothing in the calendar for today. But if I click on these other days, you can see there, and that's so that's my favourite one. I can see the month easily, and I can also easily switch between days. If you want to switch between months, you just scroll down or scroll up depending on which way you want to go. So the next one up is we're going to look at the little button next to the magnifying glass. That allows us to select our different views. So we'll click on that. You can see it's on list at the moment. We'll click on details, And the details view gives us like a 2 or 3 week view. You can see in quite small text each individual entry into a day. I think it looks a little bit messy, but for some people that's a perfect one. And again, you can just scroll up and down. Next one is, we're going to look at the next one, which is called stacked, and this has a little bit more. This has like a 4 or 5 week view, and rather than reading the details of each event, you can actually see a colour that corresponds to the calendar that there is in there. So as I've shown you before, I have different calendars, shared ones and so on. You can set those to different colours, and all you can see there on the particular day is that you have some events. So on the 15th there, I've got 2. I can click on that day there, and it will actually then go into that, and it will show me what those events are. Okay, so that's one. And then the final one, compact, it's very similar. It gives us a little bit of extra time on the view, but rather than a horizontal line across now, it's a dot. So you can see there's different coloured dots on the days, which mean that I've got events there in various different calendars. So you can also change the views just by literally pinching and zooming on the screen, and that will toggle you between those 3 views that we've got. So if we click the back button at the top, so you'll see there where it says 2026, if we click that, that takes us into a year view. Yeah. That's the whole year, so that's 2026. You'll see the little red dot on July the 17th. That's the day that it is as I'm recording. And if I want to go to the next year, I can scroll down there, or I can scroll up to go back to any other year. Okay, and then if I click on today, again, that's just going to take me into that view. It's gone into the compact view. If I want to get back into the list view, there we go. As I say, I don't think the calendar is that easy to navigate, but hopefully that's helped a little bit. Okay, so we've seen what it looks like, what the calendar looks like, what the different views are, but let's do some of the real basics now. Let's create an event. So you'll see the plus sign in the top right. We're going to click on that. That's going to create an event. We're going to ignore the reminder. Next to event it says reminder. We're just going to create an event. So let's say Sarah Coffee. Yeah. Okay. So we've given it a name. So in the location, you can leave that blank if you want. But we can also give it a name. You can be vague. You can say that's going to be in Leeds or whatever. But we can actually type in the name of a cafe that we're going to. And there's a big advantage to doing that. So let's type in, one of my favourite is Coffee on the Crescent. And there it is there, Coffee on the Crescent. So if we click on that, we've now given it a location. It's not an all-day event. What date is it going to be on? Well, it's not going to be today, so let's say that's going to be next Monday, and I can click on that. And then what time is it going to be next Monday? So let's say we can click on the time itself. It brings up this little wheel, and we can then just type that there. So it's going to be 17:30. Click back on that, that disappears. As we saw previously, it's going to default to an hour, so we've got 18:30. Travel time is on none, but I can click on that so that it is going to do that. There you go. It's based on a 10-minute. It's based on me driving. So let's leave it on that. So it's going to give me an alert 10 minutes before I need to go, and that's it. It's in my own personal calendar. There it is, alert, time to leave, and so we've clicked OK on that. Now let me show you the advantage of adding the exact location in. Come out of the event. Let's go back into it, and now back into the event. So there it is there, Sarah Coffee, I can click on that, and you can see at the bottom there, it's showing me exactly where that is, and I can click on that, and it will show me the exact location there of that particular cafe. So what about where we have an event that we want to put in our calendar that is going to repeat regularly? You know, a meeting or something that might repeat every week or every month. Sure, we can add those in and we can add them individually, but we don't really want to do that. So let's show you how to do repeating events. So first of all, we're going to open our calendar as we would normally. We're going to click on the plus sign on the top right, and we're going to give the meeting, let's call it meeting. Not very ambitious, but let's give it that. We don't need to put a location in. Okay, so it's going to be today, but let's put in that that's going to be at 5:30, and let's say that it's going to last till 7 p.m. So let's put that in there. Okay, and then how often is that going to be? Well, it's going to be monthly, and it's going to be until January. So we've got a box there called repeat, currently set to never, which means it's a single event. But if we click on that, we get these various different options every day, every week. We want to choose every month, so let's click on every month, and then it's a new box has popped up that says end repeat. Okay, so it currently says never, so at the moment that's a monthly meeting that's going to repeat forever. We don't want it to repeat forever, we want to end that in January, so let's click a certain date. Now you'll see there, read this carefully, it's 24th of July 2027, so that's important that that's 2027, and we want that to be ending in January of 2027, that's next year. Okay, and the 24th, yeah, we can click on that and click the red tick at the top, and there you go, we've added a monthly event now that's going to end in January. We can check that meeting's in for today, that's perfect. We can scroll down into August, we go to the 24th of August, and there it is. Let's go to January of 2027 on the 24th, and there that meeting is, and let's just make sure it's not gone further ahead. Let's go to February the 24th, and it's not there, so that's perfect. However, we may want a meeting that is, rather than being on the 24th of every month, we might want it to be, let's say, as this one is, the 4th Friday of every month. So can we do that? Yeah, we can. So we go back into the meeting, we go to edit, we've got the right start time and the right start date. So this time we click on repeat again, and you'll notice at the bottom we've got this option there to customize it. We get this new dialog box, frequency daily. We don't want daily, we want monthly, and then it's either each or on the. You can see there each and on the. Let's click on the, and then we get this new dialog box, and it's going to be on the 4th Friday of every month. Let's go back. End date is still the 24th of January 2027. Click on the red tick there, save for all events, and let's go back in so we can see it there on the 24th of July. Let's go into August. That meeting should no longer be on the 24th. It's not. You can see the 24th is empty. What is the 4th Friday? That is the 28th, and there's the meeting. Yeah, and we can see it in September. The 4th Friday is the 25th. There it is, and we can go all the way to January, and the 4th Friday is actually the 22nd, and there it is. So that's how you can add in repeating events, and obviously you can play about with those however you want them. You'll be able to accommodate that. So we've already had a look there at editing. Let's have a closer look. So let's create an event here. So let's say car MOT. and location, let's just leave that blank for the time being. So car, not car MOT, and let's say that is that initially I put in that's going to be on the 6th of August, and I click OK on that, and then I realise, oh, actually I've got that wrong. Okay, so I click on the event, I can click on edit, and then I can go and change that to whatever date that I want. There we go, we've changed it, we've done it, and that's it. But I might want to delete it. I might think, oh, actually, no, there isn't. That's been cancelled, or it doesn't need it. Click on that again, and you'll see at the bottom there we have delete event, and we can very simply click on delete, and we can delete the event. Where we've got multiple, so let's go back to the monthly meeting that we set up there. Click on the meeting, click on delete event, and this time it's going to ask us, are we deleting this event only, or are we deleting all future events? So I'm just going to say that's all future events, and there we go, that's gone. So finally we're going to look at alerts, and don't forget that this episode is part 1. There will be a part 2 for calendars as well, where we're going to be looking in a little bit more detail at some other things that we can do in the calendar app. So don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss that. Okay, so let's look at alerts. So let's just create an event there, and let's just say I've got a doctor's appointment. Doctors, let's just leave it at doctors there. Yeah, so click on that there. Okay, so I don't want to miss this. This is super important that I don't miss this appointment. So let's set up an alert. Yep, so I can click on alert, and I can get it to send me an alert maybe the day before. So let's do that. I want to know the day before when it is. Yeah, but I also want a second alert as well. So I can, there you go, we've got the option there of a second alert. So the first one is going to be the day before. That's a little gentle reminder. But also I might want to know the hour before as well, just to give me time to get there. And very simply like that, we've now set up an alert for that. And that appointment, when that comes around, it's going to pop up an alert the day before and an hour before. Okay, and that's it. You don't need to have an alert. We can go back into edit there, and you might say, actually I don't want any alerts. Okay, well that's also fine. We can click on none, there, and there will be no alerts. That's purely just something that's a placeholder within your calendar, and that's that. Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like, subscribe, leave a comment, and spread the word. I'm Danny from In Your Pocket. Take it easy, everyone.